Since my family's 7-year-old notebook's performance dropped significantly after upgrading to Windows 8 and can't even play back 720p videos smoothly, they told me that they wanted an upgrade and will let me choose what to get for a budget of 4,500 Hong Kong dollars.
Hey guys, I'm Ronnie, and today we'll be doing the everyday PC build. Our budget is 4,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is about less than 500 US. So this is our very first guide, which is doing by step. So let's go through all the parts we bought. So first we'll be using the i5-4440 processor from Intel. This is the old Haswell processor, not the Haswell Refresh or Deluxe Canyon. So for the heat spreader, we'll be using the integrated heat spreader instead of wasting our money to buy another one, because this PC is only be used for daily use, everyday use, like doing documents and playing videos. Not for especially for gaming, no, but yeah, playing videos. So the motherboard, we went with the ASUS C87K. So it's a very great. This is a very cheap motherboard. Not as cheap as the H81M, whatever it is, but is an ATX motherboard, which means we have expandability, full RAM slots, and a lot of PCIe slots, as well as my requirement is at least 4 SATA ports, because at least 4, but we wanted more, because we'll have 2 optical drives, DVD drives, and 1 hard drive, and we wanted 1 drive for expandability, future expandability. And yeah, that's it. So the power supply, we went with the Maxon, M-A-X-X-O-N, not M-A-X-O-N, the Maxon E530. This is a 530 watt power supply, which is very enough for us. So our system will be dragging for about 300 and 400 watts, I think, maximum. Even when we upgrade to a graphics card, it will be enough. So for the graphics card, we went with a very cheap and low-end choice. This is an Inno3D GT630. So it has HDMI, VGA, and DVI. So we grabbed a graphics card because we wanted to play Minecraft, and the integrated graphics on the board or the CPU is just not great. Not great enough to play Minecraft at even 60 frames per second, no. So we wanted to have another graphics card. Yes, for the RAM, we went with 2 sticks of 4GB Kingston DDR3 RAM. These are 1333 MHz RAM of C9, I think. Yeah, C9, CL9 actually. That's 8GB, so that will be enough. So yeah, for daily use and for even for opening a Minecraft server, that's enough. Yeah, optical drives, we went for 2 optical drives. They're of different brand because the LG optical drive and the Inno3D graphics card are actually a combo. And the ASUS one, we bought it separately because we wanted 2 optical drives. So yeah. And they are both 24x DVD drives. And for the hard drive, we went with a Seagate 1TB Barracuda drive. That will give us enough storage for pictures and videos, a little bit videos. But yeah, we also grabbed a network card. The network card is the TP-Link 150 megabits per second PCI Express Wi-Fi card. So yeah, that's expansion cards. So that's pretty much it. Oh yes, the case. The case is the Cooler Master Elite 311 case, so it looks pretty okay on the front. The reason we chose it is because we wanted the cheapest case with front USB 3 with this is an ATX case, which suits our motherboard. So that's pretty much the case to go for a cheap one. we wanted an ATX case, and we wanted the case with USB 3. So yeah, that's it. So now let's start building. Start by installing the CPU. Hold the CPU only by the edges but not the bottom and the top. Look closely to the edges and the notches, the notches on the edges on both of the sides as well as on the motherboard. On the motherboard CPU socket, here and there. Do not touch the delicate pins because they are very delicate and are very easy to damage. First, identify the gold triangle on the CPU bottom left corner. Align that with the bottom left corner of the CPU. And then align the notches from there and as well as there. Now slide the CPU in the bottom left corner first and then slide it in there. Do not touch the pins, and then gently drop it into place and give it a small wiggle. Make sure it doesn't move, and then lower the hold down plate and use a finger to secure the plate while you're doing the arm there. When you're lowering the arm there, retention arm, and then push it down and then push it back in. Now your CPU is installed.
Moving along is the CPU cooler. We'll use the integrated one with the CPU instead of using an aftermarket cooler, as that's all we need. Now, place the cooler on top of your CPU, aligning the cooler's leg with the holes on the motherboard. Then, to secure the cooler,
now turn the opposite side of the arrows, and then firmly press down, and then do the same thing for the other three sides. Now your CPU cooler is installed. So now you can lift your board by simply holding on your CPU cooler, so as now they don't actually move. After doing the connectors on each side, now plug in a CPU fan to the CPU fan header on the motherboard. Now grab your connector, which is here, and then align the notches or the slides, which are there, to there. Now just plug them in. So yeah, that's done. Now you're ready to plug in the graphics card. Now grab your graphics card, which is here. Now move the motherboard as close to the edge of the box as to avoid interference of the box blocking the PCIe bracket of the graphics card. Now pull back the tab and then look closely at the notch similar to the RAM and the PCIe slot there, and then plug it in, press firmly, then it's done. Now grab your power supply, mine is here, and then to do a test boot we would need the long, thick and large bulky 24-pin motherboard connector. Connect it to there, which is the thick motherboard 24-pin power connector. There, just plug it in. Look closely at the shape of the connectors as well as on the motherboard's head connector. Now plug that in by simply that way. And then grab the CPU power connector, which is here. Plug it in similarly to the motherboard's power connector. There is the CPU connector. Look closely at the shape at the CPU power connector as well as to the connector on the motherboard, and then plug it in. It should be 4+4 pin, then it's good to go. Now check that your CPU is plugged in. Your CPU fan, RAM, as well as the graphics card is plugged in. Then, now we're going to be doing a test boot. And then we'll be plugging in the power supply to the electricity source by using a power cord. And then plug it in. And then turning on the switch. Then, grab a video source cable, connect it to your pre-built device, not to the motherboard's video source, but to your video card, because in our case we've installed the video card. So we'll plug that in. That's done. And then now, listen to the instructions carefully. Use a screwdriver to shock the pins on the motherboard, which are the power switch, these two pins. Just shock them. Make sure that your power supply are on, as well as the electrical source. And then, now, shock the pins there. Your CPU fan, as well as the graphics card fan, should spin, and your monitor should have signal now. UEFI bias, and then a ASUS bias. Because in our case, this is an ASUS motherboard. You'll see, no, please turn our setup to recover bias setting. Or new CPU detected in your case, but in our case, because we failed the test boot before, because of the CPU fan, so yeah. Just check your CPU model number, which is in our case is the i5-4440, and check the RAM is detected or not. Now there should be no drive, no keyboard, no mouse, and no other devices. So go ahead and switch off the power supply. And then unplug the graphics card, as well as the video source, the 24-pin motherboard power, as well as the 8-pin motherboard CPU power source. Just unplug all that kind of stuff. Unplug the power supply and unplug the graphics card. Now set aside your monitor and get your case ready. We have now got our Cooler Master case up here. For the time being, we have already removed the side panels. To do this, simply unscrew the thumb screws, which are 1 and 2, to unlock the left side panel, and then unlocks 2 thumb screws the same, 1 and 2, to pull out the underside of the side panel to make installation very easy. Now we'll be going ahead and installing the I/O shield, which is here. We'll install the I/O shield here from the inside. So now the top 2 big circle connectors should be on the top, and then this should be facing outwards. Now install it from the inside like that, and then correctly orient the I/O shield. Just press it from the inside. That's done. Now we finally installed our I/O shield. It should look like this from the inside. And then now install the motherboard stand-offs, but we have already installed it on the ATX chassis. So for the time being, we have already installed it. You need 6 for this motherboard, as you only have 6 screws. Now lay down your case, and then align your motherboard with your case with the I/O shield. Hold the motherboard by the CPU cooler, and then slide it in. Now it's aligned. Basically screw in the screws. Just align it with the I/O shield. It is not going to be very easy, but at least you'll be able to do it. Now we have done it. And then grab the motherboard screws from your case and then put them in. You should need 6 of them. So now I'm going to be doing it from the bottom. Now the motherboard standoffs and the I/O shield are done. So the motherboard you can call the motherboard as installed. The next step I would do is to install the front panel connectors, as well as front panel HD audio and USB. So now look at the connectors closely. Look at the missing block on the connector, as well as the missing pins on there. One of the missing pin in the middle, that's intentional. They did it on intention, so just plug it in. Plug in HD audio instead of AC97, because only very old motherboards use that codec. going to switch to another side to do it. If you can see it. Just plug that in. That's done. Then the AC97 cable can be wrapped away. Then is the front panel USB 2. Now, plug that into another port. Okay. Plug that into another port on the motherboard. The other header on the motherboard. Plug that into USB for, let's say, 1112. So let's plug that in there. Look at the missing pin again, because that's very similar to the front panel audio connector there, as well as the missing pin on the header. Now, again, plug that in, then you're good to go. So, and then grab the connectors, front panel connectors, which are these. They include power on-off switch, power switch, and then reset switch, power LED minus and plus, positive and negative, and an HDD LED plus and minus. So now plug in reset switch first. So plug that into these pins. So I'm gonna be plugging in reset switch right away. It'll be there. The reset switch should be, oops. The reset switch should be the bottom right 2 pins. So just connect there, and then plug it in. They don't matter in orientation. And then it's the power switch. Now it's these 2 pins. Just plug them in. You're good to go. Then is the HDD. This is the tricky part. HDD LED minus, positive and negative. They do need orientations to match it. So plus is the minus one is usually the white wire, and then the plus should be on the left hand side, or minus should be on the the right hand side. Excuse me. So just align that and then plug it in. Should be bottom left hand corner. Then at last we have, what's that actually? I can't really see it. Okay. Power LED minus and plus. Plus again is on the left hand side. Then the minus, okay, just plug it in. Minus is on the right hand side. So now front panel connectors are all done. Okay, now connect the front panel USB 3.0 connector. Again, missing pin on the connector, as well as the missing hole actually, and then the missing pin on the connector itself. So this is the large one, and it only goes in one way, so yeah, like that. Now it's installed, and then we can now plug in the power supply. Install the power supply. First, just slide it in with the wall, plug it in with these sides facing the outside of the case, and then now clear the cables and then slide it in. Now that's done. Now after installing the power supply, you will have to grab 4 of these screws, hexagon shaped screws, to secure the power supply. So first I'll be screwing in the hardest screw right there. Use one hand to secure the power supply as it slides because it is not secured yet, and then do up the rest of them. I prefer doing them diagonally so that they can be held in place while we're doing the other 2. Now the power supply is screwed in and installed. Time to plug in the connectors. The fun part. Perhaps not. Now, grab the bulky, long, and thick 24-pin connector again, and then plug it in. Just check closely to its shape. look closely at its shape as well as the connector on the motherboard, and then connect it that way. Let me check. It's done. That's done. Then again connect the 8-pin CPU power, and then again look at the shapes closely of the connectors, and then plug it in. There we go. Now we have installed the motherboard and plugged in the cables. And then the next step is to install the graphics card. Now align it like the RAM, and then as well as the PCIe slot, we'll be using the black slot instead of the yellow slot we previously used, because that's how the case wants us to do, as we are reusing the case now. So align that with the notches of the graphics card slot, and then that's done. Now again, grab one of those, just plug it in. That's done. Now grab a hexagon shaped tool screw again, and then screw in and secure the graphics card by putting the screw there, and then pushing the graphics card upwards to make sure the screw actually screws it in. There we go. We also have a network card to install, which is here. Now we have to push that in to the top slots and then install it again. Repeat the step, which is to grab the hexagon shaped screw and then screw it in again, like the graphics card. This is how a magnetic screwdriver helps, but this screwdriver is not too magnetic nowadays because it's already been used for years now. There we go. And the network card and graphics card are installed. Like that. Now, time for optical drives. In our case, we have 2 optical drives which needs to be installed, which are here, down there. Now, we'll install the LG one at the top, so just slide it in from the top, from the front. Actually, the first step is to pop off the here. Just pop it off for insulation, and then install it. And then install the second one, which is the ASUS one. There, we have already popped it off, so just install it, push it in, and that's done. Now push it in, push it outside from the inside because it's not matching anymore. It's gone in too far. Then that's this one, so this is this one. There we go, until we get a balance. Then grab screws, which are drive screws in our case. That should be round-headed instead of hexagon. So grab 4 of them, because we'll be needing 2 for each optical drive to secure them. So these screws, the round ones, use your screwdriver to screw them in. There. So now we'll be screwing in the top right hand corner. There. Screw there. As well as for the bottom one. There. The top right hand corner, and then from the other side we'll screw diagonally, ouch, from the bottom right, but from this side here. So now your optical drives are installed. Now get back to the front, and then now grab your SATA power connectors, 2 of them. Find one with at least 2 of them, which is this one. We found it. With 2 of them, it should look like this. And then plug them in to the optical drives, power, which are there, if you can see it. There. The connector's there. So we'll plug it in on the left side. So it only goes in one way, and it won't damage anything if you cannot plug it in. So unless it's the wrong connector. But oops, we should have got another cable, which is here.
There we go. Oops.
There we go. 1 and then 2. Connect 2 of them, and then route another one only with 1, because this power supply only has 3 SATA connectors, power connectors, and then route it through the back of the hole here. Route it to the back using the hole there. It's for cable management, so for better airflow. And then to the other side now. Just get it ready for the other hard drive. So speaking of hard drives, we'll now pull out the drive cage and install the hard drive. It actually comes with a screw originally, but we have removed it for the time being. So the screw is originally here, as well as here. So now, slide in the drive. Well, this is a Seagate Barracuda drive, so yeah. Just brief introduction. Just slide it in. You want your connectors to face the back, because for easy cable management. And then just slide it in. It's done. Then you look out for the screws in the middle. Just slide it back if it's too deep. And here is the balance. Now we're going to be doing it on the table. And then just screw it in diagonally again. Just check on both sides, because one side only has one available screw. And then now again, get the round screws that you have got for your optical drives. Just grab 2 of them, it's enough. So now, just screw them in from here and hold it in place. Just hold the cage. On the other side, we wanted this side, so it should be on the other side there. Now, if it slips, just in our case it slips, but anyway, it's over tightened. So now just slide it in with all the cables out of the way. Just get them out of the way. Then, whoops. Just put your slide your drive cage in with all the cables out of the way. Then, yeah, that's done. Again, grab the hexagon screw. Then, this is why I need a long screwdriver now. Now you will want to plug in the screw. You're going to screw in the screw right there in the far one. There. Then screw it in to secure the drive cage. And then screw in this one. There. That's finished. So now you can go ahead and connect the hard drive power, which we left it behind here. And then connect it, the SATA power for it. And then now it's time for the data cables. Just put the cables there. on the bottom for easy cable management, which we are doing now. And then now grab some SATA cables from your motherboard box. It should include 1 or 2, and it should include 1 from your hard drive if you buy a kit. But we have 3 here, which is just right. We need 3, and we have 3. First, plug it into the motherboard, which is there. The SATA connectors there. Do we see it? Yay! There we go. See it there. And then plug it into the optical drives, which are located there. The first one will be plugging into the first one. So there we go. Twist it. If it doesn't work that way, just plug it in the other way round. It should work. That's good. And then the other one, the red one, also from the motherboard. Again, from there. And then plug it in. And then, of course, the optical drives again. And then, last for the hard drives, we will use this one. Last one, there. That's done. And then, slide it and run it through there, the hole again, where we ran our SATA power, and then grab it from the back, there, and then plug it into the hard drive. Now that's done, just flatten the cable and double check if anything is left or unplugged accidentally, as well as the fans, like the CPU fan, is it plugged in or not? So in our case, is a big yes. So RAM is installed, CPU is installed, yes, everything is installed, and now is ready for the moment of truth. Now, get your monitor ready again, and then get the power cord for the power supply and plug it in. Then turn on the switch there, below there, where you see the switch. We have just turned it on. And then plug in the video source again for the monitor. So now we'll be using not the upside, not the motherboard, but the graphics card, and then plug it in. Should be good to go now. And then now we can go ahead and hit the power button, which is here. So, oh yes. We also need keyboard and mouse, but we will be using wireless, by the way. Plug it into the back, and then it's done. It should be that way. In our case, we'll be using, ouch. We will be using a Microsoft keyboard and mouse. That hurts. Then we'll push the power button in 3, 2, 1, go. Should be loading. Nothing's wrong. Monitor's rocking up. And then, oops, shuts down automatically. 3 seconds, 1, 2, 1, go. Again. Then, this time it fires up. NVIDIA GT630 BIOS, VG BIOS, and an ASUS. Should have something to say about megatrends. Oh yes, please enter setup to recover by settings. So this is to check. Number 1, we will have our i5 4440 CPU, that's right, and then we have 8GB of RAM, DDR3 1333, and then we have our hard drive, which is ST1000DM003, and then DRW, this is 2 optical drives. These 2 are optical drives. Now, get into F1 to run setup. Okay, and then press F7 to enter advanced mode and then press enter. And then get into use your right arrow to navigate to advanced, and then down arrow to setup configuration, press enter, and then make sure that's AHCI mode instead of IDE, which some motherboards enabled them in IDE before. So HCI, remember that. Use your right arrow to navigate to exit, and then save changes and reset. Enter, enter. And then prepare your Windows installation disk, and then this one, in our case is this one. Get into the BIOS again, F2, and then now slide in your drive. Just in our case, get our drive out. In our case, we'll be using the ASUS one. Put in the DVD, slide it back in, let it read for a moment, and then press F8 to go into the boot menu. And then press P5 and then press enter. This should be the one we'll be using, because that's the DVD drive. And then it should say press any key to boot from CD. There we go. Press spacebar, lowercase. And then Windows is loading files. It should wait for a while. We'll be back once it's done. Once that loads, just grab a mouse, which is in my case also a Microsoft mouse, and then use your mouse to click next, and then click install now. Setup is loading, starting. Just wait for a moment. And then accept the license and agreements and click next. Click custom, and then drive options, advanced, and then format your disk. Click OK. Click next. Let Windows install and wait for a moment, and we'll be back once it's done. Now that's done. You can now name your PC. I'll call it Study Room PC because it's not mine. Only that. Okay, that's my name. And then Study Room PC. And then password. I don't know what to type in there. There we go. And then a product key. And then use recommended settings, and in our case I'm in Hong Kong, so just adjust the clock and then click next. Just wait for a moment. Okay, so now since the driver of the Ethernet driver is just not playing well, there are no Ethernet, so the first thing will be to install the drivers with the disk. This one, the motherboard disk, the CD are full of drivers, and insert it to your computer right now. I'm going to be using the LG one as I already used the ASUS one. For Windows, I'm going to be, the Windows disk is still in there, but yeah, I'm not going to do anything to it now. So now, click run setup.exe, setup.exe, press yes, and then wait for a moment. ASUS setup should load up somewhere sooner. You should see a window pop up, and then click on drivers on the top left hand, and then click ASUS install all. Wait for a moment, and then click customize the installation of drivers, as we do not want Norton, security, as well as Google Toolbar, and then we'll install the rest of them. Click OK. Just wait for it to complete now. Okay, so now it's installed, but however, the LAN cable. Oops. We don't have a dedicated LAN now. So now we'll be installing the driver of the TP-Link wireless card, I think. Yeah, wireless card. Because typically, after you install the driver, you should be able to get on internet. However, I don't have an internet cable now, so I am not able to do that. So now, let's go ahead and do it. So what's it? Which is which actually? I'm not sure. So the Windows drive should come out first actually. Oops, it's the bottom one, but I don't really care about that. So now, okay, go into computer management. If those two drivers swapped in drive letters, but if you don't mind, you actually don't have to do it. So now, right click, actually no, click on Start and then right click on Computer. Oops. Right click on Computer and then click Manage. Then now, actually, Disk Management, and then if those two letters are just swapped around, you can actually swap it back. So this is D drive. What's that? Oh, okay, D drive. I want it to be an E drive, so change letter and path, remove it for the moment. And then this one, change it to D drive. Click OK, yes, wait for a moment. And then this one, change letter and path, add it to E drive. And then that's done. And then now it should be, yeah, done. So my motherboard CD is actually on the LG side, and the E drive is actually the ASUS one, which is correct now. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the driver for the oops, just let it come out and then let it go back in. It'll do its stuff. Then now run autorun.exe. Wait for a moment. You want to find the network card and then install driver and utility. If you want to install the utility, you can. Or if you only want a driver, you can select it manually later. It'll prompt you to install the driver or the driver and utility. Just wait for a moment. Click yes. And then I'm gonna install the driver only because the utility looks rubbish and it doesn't really help. Click next and then search in card. Install driver only. Here's where you want to choose it, and then next install. Just wait for a while. So now I can connect to my, click finish and then exit the utility, and then now you should be able to see your things. High characters, of course. Should be able to do it and then connect it. If that's the right password, oh yes, that's the right password. So home network, yes, and then this is my user account. So yeah, and then now you should be. I have already registered. So click yes, delete the logo because we don't need it, and then. Download the latest drivers from both your NVIDIA once you get your internet connection. So we have Google Chrome now, a 7 run. Just go to NVIDIA, so www.geforce.com. Then go to drivers, and then maximize that. So this is the GT630 600 series, and then GT630. This is Windows 7 64-bit. So start search, and then we'll just download WHQL drivers if you want to be stable. Agree and download. Just wait for a moment. It's downloading right now, but you know, that's only 150 megabits per second because that's how it's gonna be. Only the wireless card is actually, yeah, because the router actually can output 600, I think. Now that's done. Click it, and then click yes, and then click OK. Just wait for a moment, it should copy the files. Agree and continue, and then express click next. Just wait for a moment. Now I'm gonna go ahead and configure my network drives. Network, and then yeah, I'm gonna do it later. So yeah, we'll be back once it's done. So now we're back. So now we will restart our computer while I show you my video editing computer, which is on the right side. Now this is only a temporary filming desk, so later I'll be moving it out again. So this is only a temporary move-in. As you can see, it's starting right now, so its boot times are actually not that bad, considering that's a mechanical hard drive. Boot times are bad now, because it's actually, oh yes! Full HD came, so this is actually a 22-inch Full HD monitor, so yeah, here it comes. So now we're back in Windows, so yeah, as you can see, the time is not right, definitely not right now, but yeah, I'm gonna tap it and change settings. Internet time, change settings, update now, like that. So it failed anyway. We'll set our time later. So as you can see, I'm still offloading footage now from our previous videos that we shoot like an hour ago. So yeah, I'm gonna manually set the time now. Yes, now counting. So yeah, you know. So yeah, that's now in full HD. So our entire display is covered now. So I'm gonna personalize it. Going back to the Windows thing. Arrow. So you now get the transparent effect now once installing the display driver. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for weekly content. Now, so subscription is free. Remember to comment below for future videos that you want to see. We'll make sure to check it, so hopefully you'll see your wanted video. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.